now the highly anticipated rematch.
Good hard body shot. What a brilliant performance.
Canelo Alvarez was and is the middleweight champion of the world.
Welcome to Jabs on Dazn, brought to you by Contenders. Seriously, Sergio, we are both wearing our Contenders t-shirts, but let me ask you this. Have you tried on the Contenders underwear?
No, actually, you know what I have, because I ran out of my underwear, my Fruit of the Loom underwear, so I had to try those. Actually, they snug, they fit great, and they look excellent.
That was a yes or no question. I didn't need to hear about your Fruit of the Looms. All right, a potential opponent for Canelo Alvarez is Jermall Charlo, who has the support of WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman. Sulaiman told Fight Hub, "I understand fans want to see Charlo Canelo. I want to see Charlo Canelo." Sergio, Canelo is the WBC's franchise champion at 160, while Charlo holds the regular belt. Is Charlo a good opponent for Canelo?
Charlo is an ideal opponent for Canelo. Number one, he's undefeated. You know I love that. He's a champion. He's a Houston bad boy. He has that chip on his shoulder. He brings that bad boy image. And Canelo, he's a little bit of the opposite. Quiet, more reserved, does his talking in the ring. That's a promotional matchmaker's dream right there. Fans will love it. It's good versus bad if you want to look at it that way. But styles, that's going to mesh perfectly because they're both boxer punches. They both have explosive power. The speed edges towards Canelo, I would say. He punches it in more compact speed. But in distance and length, that power coming from far, that uppercut that knocked out J-Rock Williams. I mean, he has a good resume. He has the good look. He has the undefeated record. Absolutely. Champion versus champion. That's an A-plus fight.
It's not an A-plus fight, and I don't call
it
it's
champion an A fight. Versus... It's an A fight. A solid A fight.
It's not even an A fight. It's not champion versus champion because Canelo is the WBC's franchise champion. It's the WBC's fault they are such greedy bloodsuckers that they create multiple championships in that weight class and just hand Charlo a belt that even he would admit he has not won. So it's not champion versus champion. I think Charlo is a very good fighter. He does have some solid wins on his resume. You mentioned J-Rock Williams. Before that, he beat Austin Trout. He's been solid at the middleweight division. All that being said, you look at what happened last year, he beats, Brandon Adams and Dennis Hogan in 2019? Do wins over Brandon Adams and Dennis Hogan catapult you into the level that you're supposed to be able to earn the right to face Canelo? How many times, Sergio, have we heard Canelo say about Golovkin, he hasn't earned the right to face me again? He's got to earn the right to face me. What has Charlo done to earn the right to face Canelo? You know what Charlo can do, Sergio, to earn the right to face Canelo? He can go out and beat Demetrius
I already know what you're going to say.
Go beat Demetrius Andrade, win a bona fide middleweight title, call yourself a unified champion, and if you do that, then you get the first crack at Canelo Alvarez in 2021. But until then, I don't want to hear about Jermall Charlo versus Andrade. I don't want to hear about, versus Canelo. I don't want to hear about Andrade versus Canelo. I want Andrade versus Charlo in 2020.
Chris Mannix, I know you're trying to promote your boy Boo Boo Andrade. I would love that fight too, but I really like this Charlo fight as well. Canelo Charlo will make sense. And if you look at the resume of Charlo, I'm gonna go ahead and pick apart his resume. He beat Brandon Adams, who won a reality show called The Contender. Of course, he had the opportunity to fight for a world championship. That guy already belongs in the Hall of Fame of celebrity boxers. And then Dennis Hogan, who should have won the middleweight championship off Jaime Munguia. So he played with both those guys. I mean, yes, his resume is thin, but it's not lacking quality.
What are you talking about in that? First of all, you're wrong on several levels. Number one, Dennis Hogan was not fighting for a middleweight belt. He was fighting for a junior middleweight belt.
Junior middleweight belt. It's a championship.
Well, fine. But he jumped up to middleweight, a weight class that he is not familiar with, to take on Charlo because it was the best opportunity for him on the table. You look, I think Charlo is an incredibly accomplished junior middleweight. All the names we talked about, whether it's Austin Trout or Julian Williams, Those are junior middleweight bouts when Charlo was at 154. You look at where he is as a middleweight. Hugo Centeno, Matty Korobov, a fight that he may have lost, by the way. There was one really bad scorecard
Korobov was a legitimate
on that one.
160-pounder. That's a hard-punching middleweight right there in Korobov.
Okay, but it's a thin resume at 160 pounds. He doesn't have the same type of resume at 160 that he has at 154. He has not proven himself as a top-level 160 yet.
And your champion, Demetrius Andrade, if you look at his resume, it's kind of thin as well. But Charlo and Andrade have something that is needed in these big fights. And that's that zero, that undefeated, unblemished, beautiful zero. They both have it. They're both excellent fighters. They're both champions. Yes, thin resume or not, that's what they got going for them. They're an excellent opponent for a superstar like Canelo.